The feeling of relaxation. I'm telling myself I'm done. I'm done with what I have to do. Now, but I gotta tell myself I'm done. Because really, I could never be done if I didn't tell myself I was done. What do I mean? I mean, I could chase these little scratches and these little imperfections for the rest of my life, it seems. But at some point, I gotta say, that's it, Matt, you're done, it's good, you've done everything you wanted to do, it's time to let it go to the body shop. So, she's going. But I'm gonna take you through the final steps that I went through and show you everything, and what it looks like as it heads off, because when we get it back, it's gonna be green. It's gonna look good. I'm excited. And, oh, stick around to the end of the video, because I'm gonna go over the cost. What did it cost me to do all this body work? I was curious. Usually I don't keep track of the cost, but I thought, you know what? I'm gonna itemize everything. I'm gonna see exactly how much I spent on all the materials, and I did include 2 tools I had to buy, which were a little handheld belt sander, which was fantastic. I highly recommend that to everybody. That thing was great for certain jobs. And then I had to buy that little corner orbital sander, like a detail sander. That was really good too. We ended up using those tools quite a bit on this job. So yeah, while I'm enjoying the afternoon, why don't you guys take a look at what I've done on the Lotus. I am under the Europa. So I'm in this is the front. Above me, that's where the spare tire goes. I'll just pan around. So there's the left side. Ooh, sun. There's the radiator opening. The reason I'm under here is because there was a big seam right here. So the front of this car was hit in the left front, and they replaced the whole front left quarter, and they did not do any fiberglass work underneath. It was crazy. When I got under here, like you see the white panel there, that's the as it came, I guess, finish on that panel versus the stock panel over here. But anyway, this gap was wide open. They fiberglassed it from the top, but they never fiberglassed the bottom. They did do down here, which is a little more visible, and I've been cleaning that up, sanding it and using some filler. I got to get that nice and smooth. But anyway, this gap was totally wide open. It blew my mind. So I ground it all down, and that's a second layer of fiberglass on there now. That's drying. I'm going to turn around to show you where that cut continued. So now I'm looking toward the back of the car. That's the wheel well. As I pan over, there's the opening for the steering column and the brakes right there. So they made that cut right there, which is right below the storage compartment above. And that was wide open as well. So had to grind all that down, redo the fiberglass. Actually, I need to put some more fiberglass up in there. Probably do one more seam of fiberglass before I switch over to filler on that part. So as I come into the front left wheel well, here's another look. I probably used I had already done fiberglass work there, and I put on way too much filler, but that's okay. That's epoxy-based filler, West System, and it sands very easily. It's great. So I'm just going to let that dry, let it do its thing, and then sand it down. This side of the wheel well, that's where all the rivet holes were that hold in the aluminum panel that covers that void right there in the wheel well. And those holes had grown over the years. The diameter just became larger and irregular, so they weren't going to hold a rivet anymore. So I went ahead and I just fiberglassed all those up. So I'll sand that down. That way when I put the new panel in, I'll have I can drill some nice clean holes and get some good solid rivet attachment. If I come to the front of the car, that cut, the panel replacement cut came right through here across that lip. and they didn't do a very good job here. So I'm in the process of redoing that. We'll get underneath the car. There you can see the cut pretty well where the two panels came together. I already fiberglassed this front, and I just have some filler on there, and that's looking back to where we just were under the car. So a little bit of work to do there also, but it's coming together. All right, looking in the back. So I've got this whole back area finished, and I did that graphite gray. Kind of like that color. And I put in one of my support brackets, which I did in zinc, just to see what that contrast would look like. It's going to look pretty good. A lot of guys will do those in black. Again, I just wanted something different, so I'm going to go with that bright zinc look. Now, the bulkhead. I've had to pause on the bulkhead because I ran out of fiberglass mat. So that is still hanging out there, and I still need to get that panel back in there. That's missing. Fiberglass mat should be here Friday. Today's Wednesday, so that's kind of on hold. Can't do much more there right now. That's where we are. Deadline's this weekend. Got to be done. But I feel pretty good. I've narrowed in on it. Closing in on the finish line. I can feel it. It feels good. So work continues, but it's not major fiberglass work anymore. Well, I guess doing that bulkhead mat you could consider major fiberglass work, but most of it's done, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So this is the front corner they replaced. So they cut there, they cut into the storage box, and then they cut here. I'll show you where that cut is in the storage box. You can see it kind of comes right down there, over there, and then makes its way across the fender and down. So we're going to paint the storage box the same color as the body. So I got to get in here and do some sanding down here to make this look a little better. This was the patch they did when they put in the new panel, but it's, you know, huge elevation differences there. It's not smooth, needs some work. Only it's just going to be a little tough because it's down in this lower elevation. So getting power tools in there is a little more challenging, but I still need to do that as well. And that's about it. That's the last thing on my list that I'm aware of right now. I may think of some other things, but that's where we are. I thought I was done with structural repairs, but I'm not. I still have, where the hell's my hand? Still have this. Let me show you that. So I was doing some work filling these holes and working on this, and I glanced over and noticed that this whole lip was gone all the way down. So I cut a piece of aluminum. Again, I got it screwed in here, so it's pretty sturdy. And I've set it back a little bit. The plan is to lay fiberglass on here. I've ground this down as well, so I can wrap it around. And I'll get adhesion to the outside. And I need to just rebuild this. So this is waxed. I got to go mix up some fiberglass now and lay something in there and let it dry. All right, we'll knock this out. I'm going to wrap this around. But the key, what I found with these 90-degree corners, you gotta thin up this fiberglass chop strand. When it's thick, it's just not going to want to lay on that corner. So I grab a couple strands and then I just pull it apart. Want a nice thin piece, and then I can build it up after that. We'll try this. Just putting the resin on. Get that started so it stays. Yeah, this is the hard part. It never wants to lay. I'm working from the crease out to get all that air out. And hopefully it'll cooperate. I might have to make a relief cut in it because it's an angle here. I'm going to come on here and make a relief cut and just take a little bit out so I can lay it over. The first layer is the most important because after that you got something with a little rigidity to work to, and the next layer is going to want to, if I scuff it up, it's really going to want to adhere better to this. Key here is just making sure I don't get any air, especially on this side where I'm trying to bond to existing fiberglass. Alright, that's it. That's all I'm going to do right now. It's a thin layer of fiberglass, but I'm going to let it dry up and put another coat on, build it up, and then, you know, rework this fender seam. And then I can pull the metal out and pull the duct tape out, take the screws out, and finish everything off. So we'll let that go for right now. Here I am. It's Labor Day. And what am I doing? I'm laboring on the Lotus. But today, good news, I think today's the last day. I'm hoping to get everything done today. Will I get it done? I don't know. I feel like it's doable, but it kind of depends because some things, I still have to lay some fiberglass this morning and I need to give it time to dry. But I'm hoping that I'm out here early to lay the fiberglass I need to lay. It's the last fiberglass I have to lay. And then I'm going to be painting different areas while this is drying. And hopefully by the end of the day, that'll be dry. I can sand it. I don't know if I'm going to paint it though, because I do want to let it dry overnight. So, well, now that I think about it, I think the reality is I'll probably finish up tomorrow, but 98% of the work will be done today. So here's the last section of fiberglass I'm working on. This is that section that was just missing. It was cut out. So I put in some aluminum sheet metal to form this area so I had something to lay the fiberglass on. You'd seen that in an earlier video, and it looks pretty good from the top. I do have some filler in here just to fill those cracks, and I did fill this seam down there. I wanted that to be nice and clean. It gets wider over here. That's because the wiring harness comes through and I think wraps that corner and then comes back. So I might even grind this lip down and bring it over because I don't really see a need for that right there. That'll help clean this whole area up. So this morning, what I have to do is really underneath. I got to grind this down. I had to make a little patch here. But underneath, I need to grind the existing, and I just want to lay a layer which is going to contact the new fiberglass to the old right here on the underside. I've already done that on this side back here, so she's pretty secure as it is. Like, it's pretty tough, probably stronger than the original, but I can't leave that open seam under there. So right now I'm going to grind that down and then mix up some fiberglass and lay some chopped strand on that seam right there, and then move on. Other things I have to do, I started to get a little particular in the wheel wells. I had some irregularity and some voids, so I sanded all that down. I've got some filler on there. I come around, same thing over there. Again, not going for perfection. I just want to clean it up so it's nice and smooth. There aren't any cracks, any voids. So when I lay some paint down, it's going to look nice. I think that's really all I have left to do. Well, bummer. I was wrong. I was hoping to paint the wheel wells today. I sanded the filler down and I still had irregularities, and I thought to myself, gosh, you know, I'll just put a skim coat on there so I can fill those little cracks. So I did that. I put a skim coat in here. So now I have to wait a long time for that to dry before I can sand it. I did the same on the other side. Let's take a look at that. All right, same thing over here. Just wanted to lay some filler to fill some of those smaller depressions and little voids that were in the fiberglass. Again, not looking for perfection, but, well, the rate I'm going, maybe I am looking for perfection. I don't know. It's hard to know when to stop, honestly. And I did this in some of the front wheel wells too. Let's go look at that. All right, there's a radiator opening. I had a little section right here I just wasn't happy with, so I added some filler there. And then some various places, like right there, where I saw some cracks coming through. And then the final wheel well, I don't know if I showed this before. This is that fender lip I had to recreate from scratch because the old one was broken off. Like up to here, it was gone all the way down. But that's in there. She's nice and strong. Looks pretty good. And as I was working over here, there were some really big orbital, round orbital sander gouges in this fiberglass, and I just wasn't digging it. So I had some leftover filler when I was doing the back wheel wells, and I just smeared it on here. So now all 4 wheel wells are drying and I can't paint anything. So I'm just waiting. The bulkhead came out pretty good. I'm happy with the way that looks. It's really strong. It cleaned it up so much. It just looks so much more uniform now. It's gonna make a difference when it's all put back together and you open the hood and you just have nice uniformity all the way around the engine bay. And I got rid of that wood particle board stuff. I still need to do the dark gray paint. So what I'm doing is the light gray is like a bilge paint. It's great. It adheres to fiberglass super well. It's an epoxy base. And then on top of that, I'm putting the final color. And it's taking 2 coats of final color to get the streaks out. So overall, it's 3 coats. The first being the epoxy and the last 2 just being the final color. So as I wait for everything to dry, I do have some vapor blasting jobs I gotta wrap up for some folks coming to pick them up tomorrow. So that's good. That'll keep me busy for a couple hours, and hopefully by the end of the day this will be dry, and maybe I can sand it today. I don't know. We'll see. Today's Tuesday after Labor Day Monday, and I think I'm really close. I think I'm just about done. I got the wheel wells. Wheel wells are, like I said, they're not perfect, but they're so much better than they were. And what's really cool is it's clean now, and a lot of those old repairs, although they're not completely hidden now, they're so much better than they were. So much better. But at some point, you just got to call it. Otherwise, you just chase this stuff forever. And it's like, what am I doing? I did the back wells as well. Bodywork came out pretty good down there on the bottom. Good enough for a wheel well. So she's looking better. If I come up, engine compartment is so close to being done. New panel, that's in, that's painted. So I got a couple coats of paint on right now. I need to do one more of the dark gray. One more will cover all the, you know how the first coat never covers all the way, right? You got a couple lines here and there where the colors from underneath come through. So one more coat will cover that up. But she's looking good. It's respectable. So I get the outside of the car painted, and when I put this back on the chassis, and the chassis is cleaned up and looking good with stainless hardware, this is really going to help everything pop. Okay, so the last thing I have to do is down here. And I want to do that before it goes to paint, because when it comes back from paint, it goes on the frame, and I won't be able to get to those areas. Those are going to be pretty easy, though. See, I dropped a lot of resin on that fiberglass repair when I patched the underside. But what I'm facing is dirt, undercoating that was sprayed on top of dirt when it was put on, I believe. And it just doesn't adhere well. So, but the good thing is these are all flat surfaces. So compared to what I've been doing, it's gonna go really fast. So what I'm gonna do is I need to sand that section there and that section there, and I'm gonna give those the gray paint. And then I do need to do the bottom lips there, the sort of underneath that I don't know, tray. It's all part of the engine compartment. Ooh, I see a little fiberglass, bad fiberglass right there, but I just might let that slide because I have had enough fiberglass work. So that's the last thing I got to hit. That's going to be really easy though, so I'm not fretting that too much. But other than that, she's looking good. Oh, there's the radiator support section. This wheel well came out pretty good. And I did do under the nose, although I haven't given that a second coat. But oh my God, it's so much. You can see, all right, there's a fiberglass repair I did. That actually had no fiberglass on it whatsoever. It was just two panels butted up against each other with about a 1/4 inch gap between the two. So I ground all that down, and that's some pretty thick fiberglass. So what's popping out is actually a small portion of the fix. But you know what? I'm not chasing that. It's under the car. I just left it. I painted it, and good is good enough with me. So I got that. I need to do another coat here on this, but that's it. So I'm pretty happy. I am happy. What I haven't touched is that. So this section under here, you know, it's on the cart, and I'm not going to touch it right now. What I'm going to do, there's new stainless steel screws I fiberglassed in when I reinforced the floors. But what I'm going to do is let this go to the body shop like it is, because he's going to have it on the cart as well, so the bottoms might get jacked up anyway. When it comes back and it goes back on the chassis, I can put it up on the lift, and then I can hit this underneath. So that won't be too bad. It's one big flat surface, so not too bad. You can see there, I have not done a second coat, and you can see what I'm talking about. You just get those lines. So I need to do a second coat there. And yeah, I have not done the top of the wheel wells. And you know, all that bad fiberglass work up in the corner, that's from the factory. I guess when they just glued or used the fiberglass to bond the different body parts together, they didn't take too much care if it wasn't visible. So I do need to do the top of the wheel wells, but again, not very worried about that. I just wanted to get the bulk of it done, so I felt good about it before it went to the body shop. And you know, I wanted to go through everything to make sure the fiberglass was solid everywhere, and I didn't get it back from paint and be like, oh my God, I got a big repair to do underneath. Didn't want that to happen. Hey, here we go, final shot of the engine bay. So everything's done. I'm really happy with it. I decided I was not gonna refiberglass that section over there. It's not exactly how it was from the factory, but good's good enough. The whole bulkhead's fiberglassed, it's painted, it's clean. Everything is looking really good. So I'm super happy with it. You guys have seen all the rest. So that's it. That is it. My work here is done. Now, let's see how much I spent on all the materials and the tools I needed to do this job. All right, how much did I spend? Well, I've got it right here, itemized. It's more than I thought, but most of the money went to one thing. More than half of the money went to one thing. So here's a couple things. I started off buying some wax and some PVA so I could do that initial mold. I needed the wax so when I put the fiberglass on that donor car, I could get it off without damaging that car. So those two were like 37 bucks. Now, the big one, the epoxy resin and the hardeners. I had to buy that multiple times, so I'm going to add them up here. It's basically 112, 2, that's $300. There's another one, 440, 5. So over $500 just on epoxy resin and hardener, and that was using the West system. And then I had to buy some additives for that to make the filler, the really strong filler, and then the skim coat. So for the filler, I used the West system 403 and 406. That was like $54. And then for the skim coat stuff, the stuff that's really easy to sand off, that was their 410 product. That was another $53. That belt sander was $31, and the detail sander was, why is it not on here? Why is it not on here? Well, it's not on here. I don't know, but I think it was like $40. Anyway, so this total, including the tools, is $991. That doesn't include sandpaper and other miscellaneous things. So I'm going to say round this whole thing off at $1,000. So $1,000 is more than I thought I would have spent. I honestly, going into this, in my mind, I was thinking I'll probably be in it for $500, but no, it was $1,000. And like I said, most of that was the hardener and the resin. In the resin, that is expensive stuff, but you gotta have it. And I went through a lot because I reinforced the floorboards and the bulkhead on the inside and the bulkhead on the back side. So that was a lot of resin right there. So there it is. Yeah, about $1,000. All right, so what about labor? Let's consider labor. So I've been working on this thing for about 3.5 weeks, I would guess, maybe 4. And I had a bunch of rainy days in there, so I wasn't able to work on those days. And I had a lot of days where I was doing some other things as well, kind of multitasking while I waited for stuff to dry. So let's just say I had, well, if I had 80 hours in this, that's 2 weeks full time. And I paid myself $50 an hour. That's $4,000. So that's $4,000 worth of work. Now $50 an hour is pretty low, I think. I don't know what body shops are charging. And is the 80 hours real? I don't know. I didn't keep track of my hours, so I'm just kind of guessing here. It felt like it was a lot of work. It was a lot of time. But even if it was 40 hours at $50 an hour, that's still $2,000. So I'm thinking if somebody else were to do the work, my labor bill probably would have been, all right, so if they actually charged me for every hour, I feel like it would have been higher. I feel like it would have been like $4,500 for labor. I think because the outside of the car wasn't painted and everything was underneath engine compartment and wheel wells and all that stuff, I don't know. It seems like if I went in to pick this up and I got a bill, I would expect that labor charge to be between $2,500 and $2,900. It kind of feels like the ballpark to me for what that should have been worth. But I don't really know. You know, I don't do body work. But what I do know is I didn't pay any of that because I did the labor myself. And, you know, I'm happy with the results. So there you go. There you go. I spent $1,000 roughly and saved myself multiple thousands by doing the work myself. So glad to be done. Glad to be done. And that's it. So that's all I have to say. We'll be working on some other things next time. We can get back into mechanical. I'm excited about that. So for now, thanks everybody for watching. See ya.